So, I've just finished reading chapter 20 of Darth Plagueis, and every single time I think an event's going to happen in the last chapter of the part, it seems to happen in the second to last chapter. I thought Palpatine would kill his family in chapter 12, but he did it in chapter 11. I thought Plagueis was going to be attacked by the Maladins in chapter 21, not chapter 20. But he's been attacked by the Maladins in chapter 20. So, I'm going to be giving you my review. I personally really enjoy the chapter. I think it was this is really where James Luceno's writing exceeds and does well. It's where he doesn't over-rely on his use of complex words like he did in chapter 17 or chapter 13. He doesn't, I guess, using them so much makes it hard to understand. There were times where it was hard to understand, but I think it was mainly but it wasn't from the complex word, and it was just from a bit of, what you're trying to convey, and maybe just poor wording of what was going on. Anyway, Large Hill is trying to be accepted into the order of the Accounted Circle. But little did Plagueis realise, the Maladins had infiltrated that under the orders of the Grand Protectorate. The Grand weren't on the orbital station that they have been traced to. They were instead in the Manister ambassadorial residence on Coruscant, so they weren't in orbit. So, as it turns out, they weren't just trying to get rid of Palpatine. They were also trying to get rid of Hugo Damask, and of course, doing that means the Trade Federation loses the leader of one of its most important and influential finance givers. And it deals, of course, quite a striking blow. And we get to see how the Maladins really attacked before Plagueis could really react to anything. Everything just happened at once. Large Steel got beheaded. The other Muns were killed pretty quickly. The Maladins, we really get to see how effective the Maladins are, even if they do eventually lose. But we really get to see how they really do put the Jedi in danger. They really put them in. They really do show how skilled they are in managing fighting Force sensitives. They're manoeuvring around Plagueis' capabilities in the Force, and even though Plagueis is on the verge of going unconscious from blood loss because he's just lost part of his jaw, part of his neck, his windpipe, and a bunch of vessels, and he's really struggling to continue on. He really is. He's been able to. I think he was able to use Sith sorcery to stabilise 2 of his 3 hearts, but then he started to fight back against the Maladins, and simply through his fists and hands, the same thing, but you know what I mean. Hand spread out, fist crumpled up, but he fought against the Maladins for a time, and he was really, for the condition he was in and struggling to keep on going, he really made I guess not really light work of them, but he put up quite a big fight. He was able to snap the necks of some of them. He punched his way through their armour into them. He was really using the Force to amplify his attacks, and he was really just displaying how strong he was. He used Force screams, which I was quite excited to see. He used waves of Force energy that could atomize them. He was using the Force to throw loose objects and make them into deadly projectiles. And he was using his minds to throw the Meladins away from him when from a like I guess a pushing force from the floor. When his second heart had failed and they were able to close on him and wound him even more, wounding his arms, his shoulders. And even though more Meladins came in then, he was about to do one more attack when Palpatine and Saint Pestage came in. And also poor 114D, he survived it, he survived it. I'm surprised 114D actually survived that as well as it did. It wasn't, I guess, significantly damaged. I assumed it would have been more damaged, but the way the book puts it, he's just leaking lubricants. He doesn't seem to have suffered any significant damage, and his immediate reaction, "May I be of service? I think I can be of service, Magister. Can I help you heal?" It's once he's 114D. It's a shame that he hasn't had a bit more of a presence in the book since he was introduced, because I think he can be, because he's such, I guess, a lovely droid, I think, and he's also quite fun at times and funny, but as it turns out, the reason why the Meladins attacked Plagueis was because the Grand were, as I said, wanting to get rid of Plagueis, but also the Meladin commander was felt humiliated by how the Meladin had tried to kill Vidar Kim, and how he felt it wasn't a very good manner, and felt humiliated by how poorly it was managed by that Meladin. And so he tried to make amends for his services to Saint Pestage by taking up the Grand Protectorate as contracts to kill Higo Damask. And of course, by doing that, they rid themselves of someone who has actively not been favouring them. Get rid of Palpatine. They kill an important person that had strive for Tapalo, and Tapalo was likely full in his election, and the Trades Federation be able to continue, and the Trades Federation and other houses could probably end up being supported and cut off the Trades Federation. Yet then you then have Plagueis being cut off, and that's going to strike a massive blow to the Trade Federation. They deal in the because of course the Damask Holdings is a bit of a I guess offshoot of the is a bit of a supporting company of the Intergalactic Banking Clan, and it seems it's a little bit. They do multiple things. I know there's a Reddit out there going on about what they do. I haven't probably read into it because I want to finish Plagueis before, in case of any spoilers. But one of the primary things they do is make contracts and support in finance, and by doing that, they deal a massive blow to the Trade Federation. Plagueis wants the Jedi to come to the scene of the assassination attempt, because he wants them to feel the power of the dark side that he has, I guess, used. He wants them to feel that. And Palpatine's saying no. What we've done here. If they see it's beyond the carnage we have here, is beyond what should be possible of us. We can't be seen here. And so Plagueis understands, and he says, then retrieve the Sun Guards, get them, and he says they will before, and he's cut off, and I assume it was make it seem like they were able to protect them, or I guess fix the scene so it doesn't remove suspicion. But Palpatine says, no, I know where the Grand Protectorate is, I can go and take them out for you. And so we could have a bit of a time jump. And we see Palpatine make his way into the, infiltrate the Manister Ambassador's residence. And he kills some of the Santh security guards with Plagueis' lightsaber, which is notably a bit too big for Palpatine. It's he's able to hold it with one hand, but with some difficulty. It's better to use it with two hands. But we see him go on a murderous rampage, taking out 2 dog guards. One of them trying to stop their organs from spilling out of their chest and outer image. I know it isn't very pleasant, but it does seem like you've just been attacked. You've got someone there who's moving in a blur, and you're more concerned about and you're meant to be protecting. So for me, it feels a bit funny, but really it isn't. I don't know why I'm finding it humorous, honestly. But then Palpatine makes his way, kills the Santh guards. He goes into another room with grand females and younglings and dog and grand servants, and he kills them, and he eventually finds his way off to Pax's team. And hang on, there we go. And he eventually finds his way to Pax's team, and they're all having a banquet in a celebration of their greatest rivals and people affecting them being vanquished. And there comes Palpatine, and he comes in, gets through the most of them, and leaves Pax's team for last, and he strikes his throat, and he allows the fire from the fireplace that has been unleashed to go onto the curtains of the window that Pax's team is on, and allows him to burn to death. So I'm very curious to see how they finish off this part, because there's still one more chapter. Is it going to be like we're going to get a Senate scene talking about the death of Pax's team? Because it would seem, I think that seems the most likely. But then with Plagueis, with this book, you don't really know. But it does seem to be the most likely, in my opinion. There is a lot, because the book has taken all these twists and turns before, and I've been very curious to see how they do it, so how they continue it. So yeah, I very much enjoy this chapter. I always do enjoy a good action chapter. So it was for me a very enjoyable chapter. So thank you all for watching. Goodbye, and I'm going to be finishing off part 2 later.